your many blessings. As we begin this meeting, we invite your presence and ask that you help us to go through every agenda item that has been placed before us. Give us wisdom, clarity of mind, and understanding that we will be able to make decisions that are pleasing in your sight. We ask that you continue to bless all of our men and women who serve our country in uniform, especially those who are serving in harm's way. As we approach this Veterans Day, we ask that you help us to honor our veterans in the way that they are so deserving, and help us to never forget those who were lost in battle and families that are still grieving the loss of those fallen heroes. These and all blessings we thank and ask in your precious name. Amen.
And this evening, our Pledge of Allegiance will be led by retired U.S. Air Force veteran and my friend, Fred H. Gordon Jr., who served our country from June 1982 to December 2002. He's a Persian Gulf War veteran and is currently a Sumter County Magistrate Court Judge. Veteran Gordon lives in Sumter County Council, District 2. Thank you for your service, my friend.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Here, here.
Are there any changes to the agenda?
No changes.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve our agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving tonight's agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. We have a motion to approve our minutes.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded that we approve our minutes from our regular meetings of Tuesday, October 25th. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Land use matters. Ms. Rubin.
Good evening, Helen Reedman for planning staff. Our first request is RZ 2209 at 1990 Hideaway Drive. The applicant is Ganey Construction, being represented by Mr. Louis Tisdale. They are the property owner. This is a request to rezone approximately 2.65 acres of property from agricultural conservation to R15. This is the property in question. It's on the east side of Hideaway Drive, near the intersection of Hideaway and Tuckaway. The property itself is zoned agricultural conservation, but the neighborhood immediately to the west is R15. The properties to the north of this site are also AC in the area. The EC zone is planned development, also has residential uses, but those lots on that curve all have what we would call single-family attached or duplex units on them. They're not single-family homes. This property itself also is the site of one duplex unit. The reason that the applicant is requesting this rezoning is because they would like to subdivide this tract either to add 2 additional single-family homes or to go through the conditional use review process for 2 additional single-family attached structures for a total of 4 residential units. The Agricultural Conservation Zoning District does not allow this either by right or conditionally. Should be noted, this area is not served by public sewer, so anything that is constructed on this property will have to meet the standards for septic tanks, which will also constrain how many units this property can accommodate. I should also note one of the reasons the rezoning is being requested is because in the AC district, the minimum lot size is in fact 1 acre, and at 2.65 acres, because of that existing building in the middle, it can't actually be subdivided into two pieces that meet code. This is the property as it stands today. This house or duplex is sitting roughly in the center of the property. Under the 2048 land use plan, this is designated as suburban development, and the suburban development plan area is supportive of zoning designations that allow a mix of residential housing types and densities, so R15 is generally supported by the plan. Planning Commission is recommending approval of this request. It is supported by the comprehensive land use plan, and if approved, that property could be subdivided to create lots that are consistent with the uses of adjacent property on that east side of Highway Drive. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions on this room?
Move for approval first reading.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded that we have first reading on RZ number 2209. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? RZ 2209, first reading is passed.
RZ 2210 is a request out on Peach Orchard Road at 2590. The applicant is Dunlap Properties as the authorized agent. This would rezone approximately 51.9 acres of property from agricultural conservation to residential 15. It's a bit of a uniquely shaped remnant piece of property at the corner of Catch-all Road and Peach Orchard. It's had some chunks taken off of its frontage over the years. As it stands today, this property used to be in timber, but it has been timbered recently. There are no other residential dwellings or structures on the overall tract. The request to rezone is to go to R15 so they can net lots that are smaller than 1 acre in size on this property. But they wouldn't actually end up with more than 52 or 53 lots in total. The R15 zoning district is the only designation or the least intense designation that the county has in place that would allow this objective to be achieved. One of the driving factors in this, on the left you see the proposed development plan, which is a preliminary plan, and that's a little bit over 40 lots. On the right you see the topography of the property. Those are 2-foot contour intervals. There's a lot of change in topography on this property, rendering large chunks of it unusable for construction. So you're going to end up by default some large chunks of open space that just aren't practical for building and really aren't functional because of their shape and topography for any sort of septic system, to reach that southern part of the property where development could legitimately occur. When we look at zoning requests, we do look at the comprehensive land use plan. This property itself is in the rural development planning area, just adjacent to the military protection planning area. In general, the rural development planning area is not supportive of more intense zoning designations that allow less than 1 acre development, nor is the military protection planning area. So this is generally inconsistent with the 2040 land use plan when you look at it in a vacuum outside of the other influencing factors in the property, particularly the topography. It is zoned agricultural conservation, but approximately 450 feet to the south, you have the neighborhood known as Pershing Hills. This property was rezoned in 2008 under the previous 2 land use plans prior before the rural development planning area existed in our comprehensive land use plan, which is why that neighborhood itself is zoned R15. Everything to the south of this is around a ½ acre or larger lots, while everything to the northeast and west of it are much larger lots over 1 acre in size. This is outside of all of the Shaw Air Force Base noise contours and DNL lines, so it is not in any of those factors that we look at when we're looking at the aircraft influence on our property. Planning Commission did recommend approval of this request, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Move for approval.
Second. Moved and properly seconded that we pass first reading on RZ 2210. Any discussion? Having none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? RZ 2210, first reading is approved.
Thank you.
Ordinance number 22981, Mr. Bryant.
Mr. Chairman, members of the council, this is the second reading on an ordinance to amend the agreement we have with Lee County concerning the multi-county park to allow the property that under Silver LLC to be used for solar farms to be added to the park. We'll have public hearing on third reading. We have to take it.
Approved. Second reading. It's been moved and properly seconded that we have second reading on ordinance number 22-981. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed. Ordinance number 22-981, second reading is approved. The Fiscal Tax and Property Committee did meet today. All members were present. We received a legal briefing concerning a financial settlement with FTC. We came out of executive session, and we have a motion and a second to authorize our county administrator to sign the settlement agreement with FTC. All in favor? Aye. All opposed. The second item on the agenda, we came out with a motion and a second to use $700,000 from our fund balance to award a contract to Hawkins & Co. to renovate the Magnolia building. All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
I'm opposed. And let me share why I'm opposed. I was very taken back when we talked about the amount of money in excess that we have in our general fund. Almost twice as much as what we need. But at the same time, I'm looking at the fact that we have county employees that are underpaid. Some of them only making maybe $2,000-3,000 more than the poverty level if they're making that much. So while we have this money just sitting there that we can use, and I'm sure we're putting it to good use, but if we're only required to have 9 million and we got 17 million, we almost have twice as much as what we need. So why are we not looking at raising the salary of our county employees? Some of that money can be used to do that, but it's going to take, I guess, some concern by members of this council to look at the fact that we have people in this county that are just barely making it. And, you know, we sit back on council and we all of us on council probably having six figure or more salary. But we're not considering the fact that people are having time trying to just pay gas to get back and forth to work. So I would like to see us have some discussion and consideration to use some of that money to help increase the salaries of our county employees. Now I know we have a terrible situation out at the jail, detention center, where we're paying our guards $33,000 a year. And we can't hire anyone. No one want to work there. We're only 40% made. It's a danger that these people are working into. They could have an incident, breakout, riot, anything. But we're sitting here with all this money, and these individuals are only getting paid $33,000 a year, and we're wondering why we can't get anyone. Well, maybe we need to increase the salary, and the money is there. So let's think about that and see where we can put this money to good use, and it's sitting there just waiting for us to come up with some ideas to use it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any further discussion? Motion passes 6-1. Any reports from council members on other meetings, trainings, and conferences?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to report the fact that the Sumter branch NAACP held its Freedom Fund banquet on Friday, November the 4th. It was the first one that the branch was able to hold in the last 3 years because of the pandemic. We had an outstanding guest speaker in United States House Representative James Clyburn, who is the House Whip, third in rank.
he talked about the history of voting in the United States. And he referred to the 15th Amendment, which was signed in 1870, which gave people the right to vote, even former slaves. But he talked about the problem that many people were having to vote, particularly black people. And talked about history repeating itself if we don't be aware of what was taking place during the Jim Crow era, where people were killed, people were lynched, people were fired, people ran out of town, crosses were burned in their yard, because they wanted to exercise the right to vote, which was given to them by the 15th Amendment to the United States Constitution in 1870. He talked about Jim Crow and how today, and he used an example of laws that are being passed in states to make it difficult for people to vote. And he shared one thing, except someone was standing in a long line, and it was a hot day or whatever, that someone who would come up to give them a bottle of water to drink could go to jail, just because of the laws that are being passed to prevent and stop and intimidate people from voting. On TV, we looked at the people who were around the polling places, armed, tactically armed with uniforms, weapons, trying to intimidate people from exercising their right to vote, which the Constitution of the United States gave them back in 1870. And I'm just sad to say, since 1870 and 2022, it's been 152 years where black people have been constantly struggling to vote, and white people have been constantly abusing them to exercise their right to vote. I was grateful that Representative Clyburn came forward and had that message, and I also was not pleased with the fact that very few, if anyone, from this council showed up for that Freedom Fund banquet. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I just want to introduce and recognize my youngest Klan member. My son Jared is home from school from Winthrop. He's in the black hat, sitting in the audience. He's a senior at Winthrop, and he came home to vote. And so he's visiting with us tonight, and I'm very happy to have him home and very happy to have him here and have you all see and meet him. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Make him take you out to dinner tonight.
I'm thankful.
Anyone else? Monthly reports, Ms. Blaney.
Mr. McCain, there's information in your packet for the building committee, commission, and the building inspection department and the planning commission. Also in your packet is information about the Sumter State of Education that the Greater Sumter Chamber of Commerce will be doing, and I have about 3 or 4 council members that have said yes, that they will attend. Anyone else interested needs to tell me immediately so that we can get you registered for that. Also, the East STEAM Sumter Festival will be this weekend. It was originally scheduled for October, but it's going to be this weekend, so any council members can please go out and see that. And that's it.
Thank you. County Administrator's report, Mr. Mason.
Mr. Chair, council members, good evening. I'll be brief. I know that everybody has a couple of other things on their mind. And Shelby told me that we needed to finish in 30 minutes so she could get over there and work the polls. Anyway, last weekend we had the Litter Advisory Board Stash to Trash program at the Civic Center. I thought we had great attendance. We had just over about 300 people show up. All of the public schools, that was the push in this first quadrant. Councilman Washington, thank you so much for helping us with this school push. We had all 6 of the public schools that were located in that quadrant participating, as well as Thomas Sumter. So a great turnout, and certainly something that we can build on. Our next scheduled program for the quadrant 2 will be in February, so we've got a little bit of time to work on that. There are a lot more schools in the second quadrant, which would be 378 all the way down to Pinewood. So there are a number of schools, a couple of high schools, a couple of middle schools. So really excited about those numbers, but also want to turn our focus to the churches and make sure that we get the churches involved in some capacity. So for the whole month of November, there will be a number of activities in quadrant 1, orchestrated by the public, as well as both the city and the county, with different initiatives in quadrant 1 on the cleanup. So thank y'all, Councilman Edens, thank you for coming. Our chairman, thank you for getting there and participating as well. But something that we can build on. I look forward to working with everybody. Thank y'all.
Come now to the public comment portion of our agenda. Citizens desiring to speak are limited to no more than 3 minutes. Comments that are made through the chairman. I now declare the public comment portion of our meeting open. Anyone wishing to speak, please proceed to the podium and state your name for the record.
Mr. Chairman, council members, staff, guests, thank you for hearing me out tonight. I would like to thank you, the council.
Your name, sir?
George Bates, I live in Wedgefield, sorry. I'd like to thank you, Mr. Washington, Councilmember Washington, and the council for the improvement I'm seeing in the roads in the county. I don't know who's doing it. It's really, I don't care. It's happening, it's working. Somebody is doing something. And I want to thank you folks if you've had any part in it. And if not, maybe you can get involved. Maybe. Number 2, again, please, double, triple efforts to hire some more deputies, get some more cars for our sheriff's department. I just found out tonight we're 40% manned in the jail. I mean, those are sheriff's deputies over there, I believe. A lot of them are. Well, then if I'm wrong about that, then we need those as well as deputies. And thank you for bringing that up. If we've got money, put it to good use. Good use is law and order. Law and order and security for the county residents, the city residents, and the residents of South Carolina. I have a new item tonight I'd like to bring to your attention. Deforestation around the Poinsett Weapons Range. Once a month on Fridays, unbeknownst to many, they do some old ammunition, explosives, demolition. Well, over the decades, the deforestation has now made it almost unlivable when they blow that stuff up. Because the shock wave comes across and it is not deflected by the trees that are being cut down and processed for profit. I would like somebody, if somebody can, to go over to the base and see if they can do a reevaluation of the effect of the explosive wave from their maximum allowable weight of old munitions that they can blow up at any one single instance at a time. When they blow that stuff up, it shakes the house like an earthquake. And I'm 3 miles as the crow flies. When I first retired, it knocked me out of my bed one morning. I thought the house was coming down. I thought the whole ground was going to open up and just swallow us. That was back in '96. So please, somebody can maybe ask them out there to reevaluate the impact of the explosive wave when they demolish outdated munitions. Because when they blow that stuff up, even though they have their little berm to deflect it up, and I'm sorry, but when it's cloudy, the shock wave bounces along the clouds and comes out into the community. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Bates. Anyone else?
Council members, my name is Michael Miller, living in Horatio, South Carolina. And I'm glad you said, Mr. Bates, about the amount of money we paid, county. I retired from the Department of Correction myself, and I started to go back last year, just because they had started paying more, in order to bring in more officers and better officers. But nevertheless, matter of fact, I was talking to my son, and he was mentioning about how many people are leaving. You know, they come into the sheriff department, get the training, leave to go to either to another county or another state, you know, because their income is much higher. Also, I know he mentioned something about the roads. Now, I read those amendments when doing the voting, and I see where there were a lot of stuff that was on one amendment that you know, all the improvements that's being made. And I just stand here to say that, yeah, I see a lot of improvement being made in Sumter. I'm not seeing a whole lot of improvement being made out in our counties. The road that I live on, I graduated high school in '78. They just paved that road just before I graduated because I had to walk that road to get the bus because the road was so bad the bus wouldn't go down there. And that's since '78 when I graduated. But even though I drove school buses, so that's how long that road has been before anything else. It's being patched. It's being patched. And I just hope and trust that someone can do something with that. You know, and some of the stuff that, we're not asking for a lot, but some of the stuff that's being done in the Sumter community, I think we need that in the Horatio community. I understand that they're supposed to be building a gymnasium someplace over in Rapping Creek behind the center over there. But it's kind of like you getting things put here, and you got certain areas you don't have nothing that's being done because nobody's saying anything. But I'm here tonight to say that we need to do something with that. I think I came in here last year, if I'm not mistaken. I mentioned something. I don't know what you can do about it, but I have called 3 times between last of October and this month about spraying for mosquitoes. I haven't heard or seen nothing from anyone. You know, it's kind of ticking you off because at least give me a call back and say, you know, our truck is down or whatever. But all I'm saying is that just don't give me the crumbs from the pie. Let me have a piece of the pie. Because guess what? My tax money is being taken away and go to all this improvement that we're not getting. I know the time is out, but I will be back now since we don't have church school on Tuesday. I will be back.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Anyone else? Seeing no one, public comments portion is closed.
Look for adjournment.
Second. So move it properly seconded that we adjourn. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.